Good morning, STN. I'm McKenna.
And I'm JT here on this beautiful day.
Here in Ocala, we have to offer state parks, museums, water parks, all the way down to the Cattle Drive and Cowboy Roundup.
This is the second annual Cattle Drive and Cowboy Roundup here in Ocala, starting downtown, ending here in Tuscaloosa Park.
The Cattle Drive has to offer kids event, musical events, and lots of food.
We sent our reporters Harley and Elizabeth to file the following report on the legendary cattle and their caretakers.
Cowboys are the icon of rural America, but you wouldn't think to see them now in modern times. Running for their 5th year in a row, Ocala hosts a cattle drive starting in the downtown square and ending at Tuscaloosa Park.
Reuben Lamb, which is a longtime resident, he came up with the idea, and it was kind of given the county a historic perspective of what this county was like for a long time.
They used to do this 50 years ago, drive cattle down through downtown Ocala.
But the cattle drive wouldn't be possible without these homegrown cowboys.
Well, I was basically born into it. I was born and raised right here in Ocala. I lived over in Romeo, which is a little bit west of here, about 20 miles. My family and all had farming land and cattle, and I kind of chose the cattle path instead of the farming path. So ever since I could walk, I've been on a horse and riding along with my dad, Frank Markham. Just grew up in this lifestyle and hadn't really want to change it a whole lot.
We've all worked together for so long, we don't really have to say anything. You can know what the next guy's going to do. So I think the main thing is just kind of celebrating our heritage and never forgetting it, because there's a lot of people that never get a chance to grow up on farms or around horses, any type of livestock. So it gives them a chance for a couple hours to see a little bit of what goes on. We still got a big agricultural community today. It's just not necessarily on the main roads.
Going behind the barn doors, these cowboys brought us back to our roots. Now back to your anchors.
That was a really interesting and different perspective that they showed us.
Yeah, I didn't know how much work went into being a caretaker.
Yeah. Speaking of caretakers, there's multiple events set up at the Cattle Drive for kids to have a good time.
You may have thought Ocala was SoCala, but it turns out we're pretty interesting. Today we watched 37 cows run through the streets and end up right here at Tuscaloosa. Now we're having lots of fun with hundreds of kids.
Tuscaloosa Park has always been a great place for families to come together, but today is extra special. With the cattle drive happening earlier this morning, adults and kids alike have gathered here for all-day family fun. With activities ranging anywhere from coloring to bull ride simulation, kids of all ages are staying involved and outside.
I'm having a lot of fun today, and I'm coloring a bandana, and it's just different colors and it's polka dotted.
Today would not have been possible without the many volunteers.
I'm volunteering from North Marion High for the National Honor Society, and we are volunteering at the Cracker Cattle Drive. Right now they are doing the tube and roll. They're having a lot of fun. They either race each other, or they can go by themselves. They have a lot of fun. They get prizes afterwards. There's a lot more events that they can do.
Can't wait to see you next year at the annual Bull Run. This has been Caitlin Dickey reporting from Tuscaloosa Park.
While kids can have fun at the Cattle Drive, there's a little something for everybody to enjoy at the Roundup.
If you like war reenactment, Six Gun is having its own. We send Allie and Molly to get shots about the shots.
The annual Ocala Cattle Drive includes many activities for the whole family to enjoy. One everyone is sure to have an interest in is reenactments. These men and women devote their time and money voluntarily to putting on a show for others to enjoy. The rich history behind these reenactments includes the history behind Florida's cattle scene, which means a lot to these self-proclaimed Florida crackers.
Hi, I'm John McLean. I've been a reenactor for about 14 years. The reason I do cowboy is my great-great-grandfather raised cattle in Florida on Lake Griffin down by Lady Lake. I thoroughly enjoy it. It gets back to our actual family roots.
Some of these reenactors have been in action for generations and find joy and enrichment in doing these shows, which range from westerns to the Civil War. These reenactors not only find their identities in the history behind Florida, but also find a fun way to experience history.
We enjoy doing this. It's something that we have our own charitable organizations we give to, Dads for Boys, Relay for Life, and it's just something that is really close to our hearts, because really what a Florida cracker is, he and she is dedicated to family. They're dedicated to the land. We have a rich love for the Floridian land, and of course, religion. When you put those three together, you really have a cracker. Being a third-generation Floridian, that means a lot to me. I was born here, my father and my father. But the history of Florida is really rich when it comes to horses, cows, and things like this.
Whether cracking up or cracking the whip, these Florida crackers prove history isn't always as boring as it seems. This has been Molly Giberson reporting for WCAT. Now back to your anchors.
Wow, JT, the reenactment really shows what the soldiers had to put up with in those battles.
It's like we were watching history in the making.
Well, JT, the cattle drive really shows what Ocala has to offer for such a small town.
I can't argue with that. Once again, I'm JT.
And I'm McKenna.
Reporting for SCN. Have a great day. And like always,
Go Cats.